Talking about Kyrie.
Kyrie Irving.
LeBron's little brother. Or not? Question mark? Who knows? I guess he hates LeBron James with every ounce of his being.
Cavaliers all-star point guard Kyrie Irving has reportedly, and this report has been confirmed multiple times, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's not a secret anymore.
It's not a secret.
Yeah.
Right?
Made a trade request to the Cavs front office last week. He wants to get out of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on here?
The Cavs are imploding a year earlier than they were supposed to implode. I think that's what's happening. This is the beginning of the end for Cleveland. You know, all of their contracts run up in the next 2-3 years. I think Kyrie sees that that's going to happen. I think he heard the rumblings that LeBron is going to leave, and, you know, everyone's saying this. So he's just trying to get out ahead of the curve, you know. Doesn't want to be in Cleveland for another 3 years, right? He's got 3 years, 2 more years on his contract, 2 or 3. Can't quite remember.
Yeah, why don't you look that up?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it goes without saying that the most obvious, or like the first reaction that we all had was that he wants to be the central figure on his own team.
That was my reaction was why.
It's not about money for him.
Right.
That's not why he wants to leave. He'd be in line for the Supermax.
He's on through the 2019-2020 season.
It's certainly not about being on a contending team.
Right.
He's been in the finals 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
The only thing left is that he doesn't want to be in LeBron's shadow anymore. And you can go this 2 ways. One of my old basketball coaches used to tell me that everyone wants to win, but fewer people want to win on other people's terms.
Okay.
Right? And maybe you can look at this as saying Kyrie's being selfish here and he only wants to win if he can be the man, which we see in basketball a lot. And if that's the case, then I think it's fair to lose a little bit of respect for it that way. But going back to what you were talking about, if you put it in the way of people talking about LeBron leaving and then LeBron just leaving a huge mess in the organization, because let's be real, it's like a tornado went through there, and it's mostly LeBron's fault.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get stuck in there. He doesn't want his first shot to be the man like he wants to be with that mess.
Right. You know, it's fair to want to be the man, and it's fair to want to be the man with a decent squad behind you. Something I think is hilarious about this whole situation is Kyrie Irving put out this list of teams he wants to be traded to. And people are looking at that and they're like, oh, here's what will happen if he goes to the Spurs or the Knicks. He really wants to go to the Knicks. Everyone's reporting how like he really wants to go to the Knicks, and Knicks fans are like, oh yeah, let's get Kyrie. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Kyrie wants, and I think that's important. He doesn't have a no trade clause. He can be sent literally anywhere.
Yeah.
I see so many fans talking about this list, and the list doesn't matter at all.
No, Cleveland's going to get
the best deal they can get from literally any team.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, does him wanting to leave a team that's been in the finals 3 years in a row bother you at all?
Yeah, it does to a degree. You know, there was this interview with I think it was Damian Lillard, who said he was, you know, kind of jealous of Kyrie.
Yeah.
And that this situation confused him.
Uh-huh.
Because he never has made it past the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's just, you know, there are these guys that are like trying to make it that far into the playoffs, and Kyrie is getting it past to play in the finals every year.
Right, and that's
I don't want to say getting it past. He's a critical part of that Cleveland squad.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's ridiculous to see someone pass up the chance to win and the chance to get more money. Normally those are the two things that people go after, you know, money and championships, and he's in a position to continue to make both.
It is
next year, yeah,
for the next year, and that's where it stops, though, right?
Right, that's where it stops.
He's going to be 28 by the time he's an unrestricted free agent. LeBron leaves next year, which we don't know if he's.
We don't know if that's going to happen.
We don't know if he's going to do.
I mean, if Kyrie leaves this year, if Kyrie gets traded this year, then LeBron will leave next year. He will.
Irving, to me, this is less about wanting to be the man and more about making sure his career doesn't stall, right? As much as LeBron wants to pretend that like he's not in, wants to tell people that like, oh, he's not in the front office. That's fine. He is a control freak.
Yeah.
And the fact that he only signs 1-year deals so he can control his situation.
I mean, it's proof.
Yeah. It puts a lot of pressure on the other players, right? And it's not fair to tell Kyrie that he can't also try to control his situation. He's trying to control his career. He wants to take that next step. I get he's fine sacrificing a shot at the championship this year to make sure he's not stalled and controlled by other people years down the road.
Right. But what I just don't understand is why it's coming this year. You know,
Not next year.
and not next year. I'm very confused. I mean, maybe he just couldn't take it anymore, being the number 2 guy. But it's not about being the number 2 guy.
And if that's the case,
Let's be real.
That's not a great move on his part.
Right.
You can't.
So maybe that's not the case. Let's be 100% real. It's not about him not wanting to be the number 2 guy. It's about him not wanting to play with LeBron. That's what it has to be. Because some of the teams he listed, he obviously wouldn't be the number 1 guy. If he goes to the Spurs, who is on his list,
No.
they have Kawhi Leonard. Like, you're not going to be the number 1 guy when you're playing with a MVP finalist. You know, you're not going to be the number 1 guy when you're playing with the best 2-way player in the league. You go over to the Timberwolves. You know, they've got a young superstar in Karl Anthony Towns, coming into his own.
Yeah.
And I think he has more potential than Kyrie Irving. And
So
they
you
already
think-
have Jimmy Butler on that team, too,
Who's better?
who is a better player all around. So it's clear it's not a number 2 thing. I think he just didn't want to come out and say, I'm tired of playing with LeBron.
Do you think he's tired of being on the court with LeBron, or he's tired of being under LeBron's control?
I think it's, I don't know. I really don't know. It might be a combination of both. But if you think about it, LeBron is really the perfect player to pair with Kyrie. Kyrie is a score-first point guard. So when you have another player on the court like LeBron to facilitate the passing and the playmaking, he's really, it's a great duo.
Yeah.
It's a great 1-2 punch because it takes the burden off of Kyrie to, make plays and just allows him to focus on what he loves to do.
Yeah. Do you think this is a basketball decision or a business decision?
It's got to be a business decision.
Right.
Kyrie goes off by himself. He becomes more marketable, maybe more popular. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine
why
it's
else?
because he's sick of playing with LeBron.
Right.
Right. If you're sick of playing with LeBron and you're losing, that's one thing.
But LeBron doesn't
3 years in a
lose.
row. I hope it's not. I hope it's not a basketball decision. It sure doesn't seem like one.
Right. It seems like a more personal decision.
Yeah.
Also, Cleveland is an awful town.
Yeah. Let's not rule out the possibility that
He
he just doesn't want to live in Cleveland.
Yeah, I was recently in Cleveland.
Fun
It's
times
awful.
in Cleveland again.
No, there were no fun times in Cleveland.
Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. So where does Cleveland stand now? They're still the top dogs in the East. No Kyrie.
They're still without Kyrie. Well, right now they do have Kyrie, so they're still the top dogs in the East. It's not like Kyrie's going to play poorly next year if they don't trade him. I don't think he will. Maybe there'll be some chemistry issues, actually.
I
I'm not really sure.
can't imagine them keeping him now.
But why would they trade him? Just keep him for the next year. And if things don't look good, then just trade him mid-season. It's an option. If they come back and there's clearly a chemistry problem, then get rid of him. You know what I mean?
Okay, if you're...
Because there's not much you can do to improve your team if you're Cleveland in the immediate time frame without dealing Kyrie, right?
I say you have to deal him.
Why not just hold on to him for half a season? Think about it this way, right? Let's look at the 2 scenarios.
Yeah.
They keep him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they keep him. You go into the season. Scenario 1, chemistry is gone. Team is playing horribly. There's tension in the locker room.
Yeah.
Then in mid-season, you trade him. And you might not be the best team in the East anymore. It might be Boston. It's very likely it's Boston, right? It's a serious, realistic thing. So you trade him, and Boston ends up winning the East. Now, let's look at the other situation, which would be things go well, and they just go through the East again. They just fucking roll through the entire conference.
Yeah.
Those are the two situations. If you deal them before the season starts, then your team is just significantly worse going into the season unless you can get a valuable piece for him. And the Cavaliers, as an organization, probably won't trade him straight up for another valuable piece as long as that piece is over a certain age. You understand what I'm trying to say? Cavaliers need to start rebuilding with youth at this point because they have an imminent fall coming up. We can all see that. So my argument is if the Cavs trade him, they shouldn't be trying to win next year. They should be trying to get as many young players as possible.
I think you're operating under the assumption that LeBron's leaving.
I am.
Because
I'm operating under the assumption that LeBron is leaving.
You should be in win now mode.
I guess that's fair. I'm operating under the assumption that LeBron is leaving. That is true.
Yeah.
Because I think that with Kyrie doing all this stuff, he's gonna leave. I think that this is, leading to LeBron leaving. And when he does leave and he joins the Spurs
Stop.
for a huge pay cut, they'll be unstoppable.
What if they unload Kyrie for a piece and they use that extra money to bring in another, though?
Who are they going to sign?
I don't know. Just like theoretically.
Wait.
Let's just think about it.
Okay. Hear me out.
Right? So let's say they
Crazy idea time.
trade for like a cheaper point guard.
Well,
I don't know who is a cheaper point guard.
Stay with me here. Kyrie leaves, right?
Don't do it.
We trade for some young players, and then they wait a season. And then with the money, they sign Russell Westbrook, free agent, going to Cleveland. Then he meets Kevin Durant in the finals, and it's the clash of the century. Clash of the century. Russell Westbrook to Cleveland.
You couldn't script that stuff.
You couldn't script it because people would say it's too ridiculous. No, realistically, that's not going to happen.
No.
Realistically, they'll probably trade for a young point guard. If they do I think the New York deal might actually make the most sense. Either that or the deal with Phoenix that people are talking about.
Bledsoe one?
The Bledsoe deal. I think the Bledsoe deal makes sense too.
What if somehow they pulled the Bledsoe one, Chicago buys out Dwayne Wade, and then he's on the market?
Then you pick up Dwayne Wade.
And you get Dwayne Wade.
And then, Chris Bosh has been talking about coming back out of retirement.
Oh, no.
He has. That's a legitimate thing, hasn't he?
No.
There have been reports saying that Chris Bosh is considering coming out of retirement because he's been healthy recently.
Oh, you know what?
So
I guess Ray Allen's still considering coming out of retirement too, so why not just get Ray Allen as well?
that's a good point.
And Mike Miller.
Right, Mike Miller, the critical piece, and Mario Chalmers, part of the Big Four.
Oh.
Reunite the Heat,
Yeah.
just in a shittier city.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty shitty city. I've never been, so I can't say that.
I'm giving Cleveland too much crap.
Yeah.
It's a fine place.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's not fine. No, it's fine.
Cleveland was a pretty shitty team before LeBron got there.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're a pretty shitty team when LeBron's off the floor.
Yeah, it's true.
Can Kyrie Irving be the best player on a championship team?
No.
No.
No, he can't be. So him wanting to be the man is
not
him
yet.
acquiescing to him not winning, essentially, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Without LeBron on the floor, they fall apart. It's absurd. And they have talent on their team. They should be better than they are without him.
I'm not sure I'd even put him in the top 5 point guards wise.
Point guard?
Curry, Paul, Westbrook in no particular order. John Wall.
And
regular season Kyle Lowry.
why not postseason Kyle Lowry?
You know why.
Because he's atrocious.
He's terrible.
In the postseason. Doesn't make any
Right,
sense.
and we do get caught up in Kyrie Irving stepping up his game
in the
clutch
finals.
moments. And that's definitely
critical,
a skill, and that's a critical
it's a
thing
skill
to have.
that the best players have.
Right? And sometimes we get too wrapped up, myself included, in that skill and his being able to score really whenever he wants.
Right.
But
I personally think that Kyrie Irving is the second best one-on-one scorer in the NBA, behind only Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's only higher than him because literally no one can block his jump shot. Because he's 7 feet tall and he shoots like he's a 2, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but Irving, I don't think can carry an offense by himself. He's a really good second guy because he can create for himself once it gets to that point.
I completely agree. So let me throw this out there. What team instantly becomes way better if they get Irving? Which team is the team that should be really rallying to get Kyrie right now?
Spurs.
The Spurs. So are you serious?
Yeah,
the Spurs. Serious. Okay. So how does Kyrie improve the Spurs? What does he do for their lineup that makes them kind of more dangerous?
He gives them an instant scoring option when Kawhi has to give the ball up.
Would that hurt their team? They're all about team offense. That's what they do. So if you bring in a one-on-one guy like
it hasn't been team offense the last couple of years.
That's a fair
point.
Since
Kawhi took over.
That's a fair point.
And that's a testament to Popovich, right? It used to be David Robinson and Tim Duncan Twin Towers as post game, and then it was Tony Parker and Manu and Tim Duncan, and then for the last championship 2014 it was like the quick passing, ball movement stuff, and now it's back to more Kawhi Leonard pick and rolls, Kawhi ISOs. He's controlling it.
So if you add Kyrie Irving to this, kind of Spurs team. How do you think they stack up in terms of finishing this year? Where do you think they finish?
Second in the West.
Second in the West, even if you add Kyrie Irving. You don't think that pushes them past the Warriors?
No.
Interesting.
No, you got to play defense at some point, buddy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who were you thinking?
Who's I thinking?
Yeah. Who do you think should be most rallying to get him?
I don't really know. I don't really think he can go to any team and instantly make them a contender with anyone in the West. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, he can't make a team that's not a contender.
Oh, what team should be rallying for him?
Teams that need extra scoring help. Not extra shooting help.
Extra scoring help.
He can shoot, but that's not the point.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure what team would be best. That was kind of a genuine question. But, that wasn't a prepared thing.
Right. Remember, in the conference finals last year, Tony Parker is hurt. He's going to be 34, 35. This year, I could be totally wrong. Jonathan Simmons, who they don't have anymore.
Right, really stepped up and did okay.
Was the first option.
I thought he did okay for being the first option.
But you don't want Jonathan Simmons being your first option in the conference finals.
Right, that's a good point. The team got thrashed. It wasn't even close. I thought Jonathan Simmons did his best.
You want to create scoring. Irving does that by himself.